Do you like your sci-fi games filled with intrigue of aliens that rivals Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Or has the deep lore of Star Trek? Or feels good to play like a summer blockbuster like Star Wars? Well, guess what? Starfinder 2nd Edition is for you. Welcome, and hi. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Let's get this out of the way up front. Paizo has sent me all of the books here that I'm going to be talking about, but note that they have not asked me to give it a positive review, and you're going to see that there are negative aspects about this game I'm going to talk about. If you want the 5-second ready-to-end TLDR right now, you should play this game. So who is this video for? If you play Pathfinder 2nd Edition, this isn't for you. You know what this is. It's that in space. Great. If you like Pathfinder 2nd Edition, you're going to love this. Add some spacey flavor. That's if you like sci-fi. If you don't like sci-fi, then why even are you watching this video? But if you are, playing D&D and you're looking to add some sci-fi to your table and looking at what game might work for you and your group, or maybe you're just disappointed in the mega flop that was Spelljammer, or maybe you're still upset about the racist monkeys that they put in the game, this game might be for you. And let's talk about it. I've got some pros, I've got some cons, I even have some stuff that's in a gray zone that I don't really know where to put or how to even say it. So let's get into it. Pros. My first pro is going to be something that's probably going to upset a lot of people, which is the system. This is my favorite system. It is so much fun to play. Everyone will always tell you about the action economy, and as soon as someone says those words, most people just turn their ears off and don't want to hear anything else, because the term action economy is so deep into the water of TTRPG that it's just like you can't hit the normal person.
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the Anyone?
Action economy. Let's talk about the ease of play. And the fact is that you can create characters that are unique to you, and you have the ability to explore and find unique ways to make them grow, or even multi-class into ways that allow you to really explore who you want to play as a character. I always say this when telling people about Pathfinder 2nd Edition and comparing it to Dungeons & Dragons, which is, if I'm playing a table of D&D and everyone comes to the table and says, I built a rogue, you're going to have a table of all of the same rogue except for maybe a different ancestry for each one of them. But in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I find that as a GM, when my players come to the table and they happen to accidentally make characters, or they tell me, what's everyone else playing? I legitimately feel I can tell them it doesn't matter. There's no way you're going to build the same character as anyone else, because it's going to change so much about your class and how you play them based off the choices you make in character creation. And I love that. Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and by extension, Starfinder 2nd Edition, has that same aspect to it. The only difference is that the systems in the core rulebook are just themed around sci-fi versus fantasy. They've added hacking to the system, right? Like the stuff that wouldn't normally be a part of Pathfinder, because why would hacking be involved, or piloting? Like, that is really the only difference when it comes to the core system. As a player or as a GM, how many times have you been at a table where someone comes up with something so wacky, weird, strange, an idea that you would have never thought about, and therefore the system doesn't have rules around doing some strange and weird thing? I find that Pathfinder, and by extension Starfinder 2nd Edition, have optional rules for everything. Now, I can already hear the comments, there's too many rules, I don't want to follow so many, oh god, what if I... They're all optional. They're literally all optional rules. And as a GM, when I have players, and I'm going to call out a member of our community who loves the squeeze mechanic, well, guess what? At most of my tables, the squeeze mechanic doesn't come up because players don't have interest in squeezing into tight spaces. But there are rules there if someone decides that that's what they want to do. And I can't tell you how many times in other systems where I've had to come up with something on the fly, create something to make this situation make sense or work, and it's so haphazardly put together that a few sessions later, all of a sudden, my player has discovered a way to use that rule to create a nuke and is just going to bomb everything moving forward, and it ruins the complete campaign. With the core system, the fact is that if I need to look up a rule, there is going to be a rule in the system that I can look up and see, hey, does this fit my table when it comes to them doing this? And guess what? Even if you do find a rule, it's still optional. You still can, as a GM, not. Like, let me change your perspective on rules. If you're already creating the world, you're playing every single person in the world except for the players, why can't you choose what rules you use? I think that was a crucial thing for myself and a lot of other people that have difficulty playing crunchy, God, I hate that name, games. You can choose them because at the end of the day, after character creation, it's the same game as everything else. You roll a d20 and you add it to a number. That's it. And this system allows me to have the flexibility as a GM and a player that really excites me. And so my first pro is the system. My second pro for this is the fact that what sci-fi alien world game are you going to be playing that doesn't have a plethora? That's right.
Would you say I have a plethora?
Aliens.
A what? A plethora. Oh, yes. You have a plethora.
Of aliens. Already out for Starfinder 2nd Edition, there are 20 different aliens or species that you can play right off the bat, right? Between the player core and the Galaxy Guide that are both out right now, there are 20. Of course, you've got humans. Oh, speaking of humans, that's right, I forgot. You can also use all of your Pathfinder 2nd Edition ancestries, classes, backgrounds. All of those still exist in Starfinder 2nd Edition if you and your table want to use them. So not only do you have elves, dwarves, all of those things over there, you also have 20 aliens. Giant, muscly lizard folk. You have bug people, the Shirin. You have Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, Lashuntu. You also have Skittermanders, which are basically tribbles with eyes, ears, multiple arms and legs. They're giant fur balls full of chaos. Or you have my favorite, because I feel it's the most sci-fi of them all, a giant brain with a little bitty body. I mean, there's nothing more sci-fi than that. The other pro I have for this is the classes that are currently out. Now, I will say I'm looking forward to some of the classes that will be releasing soon, which get me more excited about the classes, but the classes that are out now are already great, especially since they decided to make my favorite class come with the core rulebook, which is the Witch Warper, someone who manipulates time and uses time paradoxes to manipulate the battlefield and cast spells. I love that class so much. I played one on a Starfinder 1st Edition game, which will be coming out fairly soon. We have 10 episodes. They're, around an hour each, so they're easy to digest. They're fun, and they'll be out. It's got a great cast. Krug's on it. We have Randy and Kai, and it's all being GM'd by PJ McGaw, so look out for that. That's coming out really soon. Subtle plug goes right here.
And now I'm sad.
Y'all, get on my level.
Okay.
That sound.
Since we're doing fan pops.
Ooh, I have a booking ticket. How's that? Does that work?
Oh, and if it's already out when you're watching the video, I'm going to put a thing up in that corner. Or is it that corner? Now let's get into the gray zone. Some things that I wish were better, or I wish that were out sooner or had better support. And that first gray zone item is going to be the support for the system. Now, I will say already there is more books out for Starfinder 2nd Edition than the full run of Spelljammer, but let's not get too deep into that comparison. The support from Paizo is there. They've got the books. They work with a company called Demiplane to create a software that you can turn around and buy the books through them and unlock characters, and you can play with GMs. Now, this is, again, my personal opinion about this. Demiplane as a whole is, or at least in the instances in which I have used it, is not up to par or up to the level in which I wish it was at. And since there are other things out there that are free, and the fact is that, oh, hey, pro in the gray zone, the rule set and all of the information about the classes and everything are free for use from Paizo. You can go online; they're all there. You can do it. But the art and the books themselves are the copywritten things. But the rule set, the action economy, any of that stuff, you have full access to. They have given you everything, all of the classes, everything. So it's weird to turn around and have that for free and then pay for the books, if you want the physical books, or pay for the PDF from Paizo, and then turn around and pay Demiplane also to use a system that is, in all honesty, right now, slow and clunky, especially compared to a system that is free with a paid option that came out alongside Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which was Path Builder. Now, again, I understand that both Demiplane and Path Builder are third-party programs and are not directly linked to Paizo. That being, well, Demiplane technically is, but it's not a lack of support from Paizo. It is a third party that I wish were a little bit better. Now, Path Builder, which honestly I feel one of the reasons why it was so easy for me to get more players into Pathfinder 2nd Edition or play semi-non-regular games with groups of friends that will regularly forget rules was because of Path Builder. The fact is that they could open up an app on their phone and have their character. They could link it with me as a GM. I could review their character. I can add conditions to their character. I can remove their health or add health if they're not really sure how to use it. And it allows me to have a central place for me to see what's going on at the table, as well as a very easy system for them to use. And the fact is that it was free, or I believe most of them ended up buying it because the pay was so low and it was worth it to them. They were using it enough that it made sense. That does not exist currently. As of filming, does not exist. Now, the developer of Path Builder has said that they will be releasing a Starfinder 2nd Edition options to Path Builder soon, and I really look forward to that day. Supposedly it will be in the next month or so. I'm crossing my fingers. But the fact is that Pathfinder 2nd Edition had Path Builder at release. Starfinder 2nd Edition did not. And I feel like whether it could have been support from Paizo, whether funding or I don't know, sending data over in a way. I honestly don't know what Paizo could have done better, but having Path Builder have Starfinder options right off the release would have made it so much easier. I can't tell you how much complaining I got at my personal table that had been used to using Path Builder, going, oh, there isn't a Starfinder version of this, and going to Demiplane and going, I don't want to pay for this stuff, or like my class is behind a paywall, but your class isn't, or like it was just like this weird thing, and having to do it manually for this group made it harder, and I really wish that existed beforehand. Hence the reason it's in the gray zone. It's going to be there eventually, but it's not yet. Now, I will say with the support, the pro portion of the support is the fact that there are already more books out. And in November, we're going to be seeing the Alien Core, which is going to be adding a lot more options. We've also seen playtests for the Mechanic and the Technomancer, which I wish would have been put into the core rulebook, but I understand that there is page limits. There is only so much that you can put into the books themselves without them being the giant chunky core rulebook that was Pathfinder 2nd edition. But I get that some things had to be pushed back, and I get that, but I wish we would have seen a little bit more technology manipulation straight from the beginning. I feel like the classes that did get released are great classes, especially with the Witch Warper, but I feel like we could have had some little bit more uniqueness when it comes to classes. So that is my gray zone, which is just the overall support for the system, third party wise. So let's get into the cons. Now, I have one thing in cons, and to me personally, it is a huge thing, which is we don't have tactical ship combat. Now, in the Jam Core, they did release cinematic ship combat, but it is so lacking. It's very similar to how you would run a group through Hazards, where the group rolls a series of skill checks, but there isn't tactician. Like, you are playing a game that traditionally plays on a tiled mat with miniatures that you move around and manipulate and change. Why would you make the only version of ship combat basically theater of mind? Now, I get that some people only play theater of the mind. In some sessions, I only play theater of the mind. Hell, online, I only play theater of the mind. But there are still tactical aspects of theater of the mind. This is not that, and that's really my biggest con for Starfinder 2nd edition. If you're going to give me a space game, I expect aliens, I expect vast amount of planets, and I expect ship combat, or at least more to the ship. I want to be able to make my ship my own. Like, I get that there's an aspect of like ship building and being able to make it your own, very similar to like castle building, that there is that fantasy that exists out there, and that might be a set of rules that might need to come down the line later. But to me, tactical ship combat should have come out. I would have been fine with losing. I would have been fine with losing an entire class if we would have gotten, hell, get rid of the Witch Warper and give me tactical ship combat. Like, it is so important to me, and the fact that it's not in here it is such a big disappointment to me. Now, that being said, comparatively to Spelljammer, which is the only other really sci-fi fantasy futuristic game that's out there, they also went the way of not having ship combat, which, you know, was one of the biggest complaints that I heard about that game mechanically, not the racist space monkeys, just mechanically. So not having it here really hurts my heart, and I'm very sad that that doesn't exist. In conclusion, though, is this game for you? Is this the sci-fi game for you? I think so. I think that this is something that everyone that is super into sci-fi and has a group of friends should try, especially once Pathbuilder gets their sci-fi, Starfinder 2nd edition add-ons. I think that this will be significantly easier to pick up and play. It is such a crucial asset for gameplay for both GMs and players. Like, I can't see moving forward tabletop games as a whole not having a digital means in which the group can play, both in person and online, that isn't that isn't like this. Like, Pathbuilder, like, hit the mark. Like, I can go into path builder. Maybe that's something I talk about later. Do you want me to go deep into path builder and how amazing it is? I mean, that's a weird option, but you know, go down in the comments, let me know if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you did like the video and you made it to this point, I feel like that deserves a down thumb, yeah? Until next time, Spacefarers. Bye.